Good Monday morning. Today, I want to talk about fear. Something for all of us to reflect on, that fear can manifest in our lives in so many ways. And when you're pushing yourself to establish a startup, to grow intellectually, personally, spiritually, fear manifests in ways that can block us, ways that can incentivize us, in all kinds of ways in our lives. But I want to point out that fear can be managed. And there's different kinds of fears. The first fear is what I call the fear of the idea of the business itself. That maybe your idea isn't great, maybe the customer's not ready for it. Fear, 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 it's all around us. But with the lean startup and the Latino startup, we are using the best techniques to dismantle that fear. We don't take things on faith. We think carefully about the problem we're solving, who we're solving it for, collecting feedback from people who we think have the problem and hearing it from their perspective, designing a solution, and then actually testing it with people in the real world. That's a systematic, methodical way of breaking down the uncertainty of your business idea. So I'm not worried about that. If you're in the program, we go through all those steps, and the fear of taking that bigger step, of making that bigger investment, of putting major capital at work really gets diminished. And the reason is you have evidence, you've done due diligence. But at the same time, there's a second source of fear that the startup process brings up in all of us. And that fear comes from what Rocio Perez, who we brought to the Latino startup and spoke to all of us about her recent book, Identity Alchemy. And Identity Alchemy is, in essence, reflecting on the fear that comes from experiences that we've acquired throughout our lives. Whenever we have a traumatic event, we basically deal with it one of two ways. We bury it so deep inside of us that we never try to acknowledge or deal with it, or we think that we have dealt with it and therefore it's gone from our lives. And I would suggest that the best way, of course, is the second, deal with it, process it, understand it, and alchemize that trauma into something that's powerful, that helps you move forward in your life. But also acknowledge the fact that a lot of this stuff never leaves us. It's the kind of fear that is just part of our lives, but if we can at least acknowledge it and understand how it manifests, how it affects us, and how it makes you, helps you make decisions, good or bad, it's really important. I'll share something with you, very personal, but when I was young and dropped off at kindergarten, I did not speak English. And these were in the days before bilingual education. And so in addition to the abandonment issues that all kids go through in kindergarten, I had this additional issue in that there was no one there I could speak to. Not the teachers, not the aides, not the fellow students. And in a way, though, I was surrounded by people, and although they were doing their best to make me feel welcomed and comfortable, I was in a black box. In other words, nothing was coming into me. I didn't understand anything. And that's still a very visceral kind of impact on my life, because it wasn't just the first day of school. It lasted at least the first 2 to 3 years of my educational experience. In fact, it was so rough that they sent me to a special ed school where they thought I had some serious learning challenges, that my brain was wired in a different way, whatnot. It never occurred to them that it was a language barrier. And so it wasn't just a day or a month. It was multiple years of just living amongst people, but not being part of the world. And the weird thing is I still have that fear inside of me. Although I've assimilated, succeeded, done so many great things in the world, there's still this foundational fear that sometimes, if the circumstances conspire, can bring that fear back and affect me in ways that I am surprised. I thought I was beyond it. I had processed it, but it was still there. So I can't wait till Rocio Perez releases her book, Identity Alchemy, which lays out the steps and the process that she dealt with her experiences and fears and traumatic events and converted them into something powerful and positive that helped guide her through life. And I would say to all of you out there is just be aware of the fear that's inherent in any new venture, any new growth, and understand that some of those fears can be deconstructed and some of those fears need to be understood and processed and alchemized. So Rocio, thank you so much for thinking about this book and how to help us all. And I look forward to reading it. Have a blessed week, and I look forward to seeing you all.